Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday, guys. It is the week of 4th of July. You got the 4th 2 days away. Let me know how you're celebrating this Independence Day. I am going to do usually what we have done the last couple years. Grilling out, gonna have some family and friends over, have a good old time. We got a couple of inflatable pools in the backyard, try to, stay cool during the hot day. And then in the evening, we're gonna head over, watch some fireworks as well with the family. Should be a good day. Of course, I always watch Independence Day on Independence Day, but I think this year I'm gonna do a little differently, where in the film, it takes place July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I'm going to try today to watch the events of July 2nd on July 2nd, and then the events of the 3rd on the 3rd, and so on. Something a little kooky, something a little zany. I know I have way too much time on my hand, guys, but that's just how it is. But anyway, full honesty, of course, I have not done a show in a while. I didn't do one last week, mainly because life happened, okay? Stuff pops up. This show is kind of last on my priorities list. It's a hobby. It's not a job. So, sometimes I don't get to do it. I love to do it. I really do. But life happens and I don't get a chance to do it. But I wanted to try to fit one in today because some cool stuff is happening this week. Tonight, I'm going to go see Spider-Man Far From Home. Watched Spider-Man Homecoming this morning, actually, while I was waiting for Young Justice Outsiders episodes to pop up. But I watched that, just kind of review the Spider-Man world. And of course, this wraps up Marvel's Phase 3, or the Infinity Saga, as it's being called. Reviews are coming out. People are saying they either like it or love it. I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan. I enjoyed Homecoming. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I'm very curious as this kind of an epilogue to Endgame and kind of what it summarizes. I heard the post-credit scene's pretty good. I heard the film's pretty good. So I'm interested to see exactly how it's going to turn out. Hopefully either tomorrow or on the 4th, I can sit down and do an actual review of the film. So that'll probably be my other show that I do for this week. Also coming out July 4th, of course, Stranger Things Season 3. I'm not a huge Stranger Things fan. Season 1 was okay. I know it kind of tapped into that 80s nostalgia with a little bit of that horror slant. I get it. Season 2, however, kind of what hooked me. The progression of that season in those last couple of episodes, especially the final scene with the kids at the dance. It was true 80s coming of age moment. I loved it. So really that hooked me more than anything out of the first 2 seasons. So looking forward to Stranger Things Season 3. The kids are growing up. The relationships are developing and getting more complicated. I understand that. So, again, interested to see how it's all going to go down. And, of course, this morning, Young Justice Outsiders returned in the DC Universe app. I was so excited for this, guys. I have been a fan of this show ever since it started many years ago. After season 2, I wanted it to come back, and thank goodness it did. I love the characters of the show. I love the way, it puts a twist on some of the DC mythology, and I would honestly put it in one of my top 5 favorite superhero animated series of all time. Probably top 20, superhero shows, or even top 15 superhero shows, to say the least. I mean, animated-wise, I prefer this over Batman the Animated Series. Not to say that Batman the Animated Series isn't great and pioneering with its production design and the way it all came out, but as far as a personal preference, I enjoy these characters, the story, this more than I do Batman the Animated Series. But, of course, all hail Batman the Animated Series. I know its spot in superhero and animated mythology will forever be up there. But anyway, guys, they went on a little hiatus. They gave us, the first 13 episodes in 3 episodes at a time every Friday, and I really enjoyed it. Where I would come home from work on Friday night, and I could have an hour of watching Young Justice. It was really enjoyable. So what they're doing this time, they gave us 3 episodes today. Then they're doing 1 episode a week, I believe, for like a month or two, and then they're wrapping it all up with 3 or 4 episodes they're releasing at the very end, going to 26 episodes this season, it appears. So I watched these 3 episodes just about 15 minutes ago is when I wrapped it up. So I want to talk about it a little bit. So if you have not seen the latest episodes of Young Justice Outsiders, pause, go watch it, come back to it, and of course, let me know what you think. So when last we left the team, they had finally found Brion's sister Tara and brought her back to their kind of safe haven, back into the fold, I guess you would say, so to speak. But turns out Tara isn't exactly a helpless victim. She's actually been communicating with Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, which kind of leads us to believe they're setting up for kind of a Judas Contract storyline. If you read the original source material or even have seen the original animated movie, what was it, Teen Titans Judas Contract, actually that came out I think a year or two ago, they're kind of playing with that a little bit. Now Outsiders this season itself is playing with a storyline, Batman and the Outsiders, where Markovia had enhanced individuals they were producing, and Batman and kind of his covert group had to stop them, which is kind of the overall storyline they're playing with. They're bringing in Darkseid, Granny Goodness, Apocalypse into this fight as well, and that's, what I like about this, and also, of course, looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they take big storylines, but they give their own version of them. They don't really fit too closely to the source material, but they play with it enough and still keep it interesting to where, number one, it's fun entertainment, and number two, you're not quite sure how it's all going to end up. Because, yeah, I've read, Judas Contract, but given the confined space that they have this storyline in this show, I don't know if it's going to end up the same way as the book did or the movie or whatever, but that's why I'm just so damn excited to watch it. Now, it also looks like that Beast Boy might be taking a more dominant role in this second half of the season than he did, because he didn't pop up, I think it was until really episode 12 or so, when he tried to be controlled by Granny Good's goggles, and he kind of found out what was going on, that they were using the goggles to find humans that had the metahuman gene and capture them and send them into space to fight for Darkseid and Apocalypse. But he was very front and center in these episodes, which makes me think he's going to be kind of like that in the second half. I like the character of Beast Boy, don't get me wrong, but I was missing a bit of the whole Nightwing angle, and of course, the other Leaguers or the team. That's one thing too, when they went on the mission to Russia in, I think it was the second episode this week, I was like, okay, Tigress is bringing in her new team with Halo and Geoforce and Terra and Forager, but they incorporated into the team, but the team wasn't there. And then you see the team is actually in the next episode. You got your Kid Flash, your Blue Beetle, your Static Shock, all those guys that are actually still part of the team, minus the ones that Batman took back, such as Tim. And then they said that Cassie, aka Wonder Girl, is trying to patch things up with Tim and save their relationship. So again, that second episode, I was like, where's the team that they decided to join? Well, apparently they were at some Thanksgiving fair trying to stop a bunch of bad guys from kidnapping a bunch of metakids. Now, as far as the characters themselves, Victor Stone, Cyborg, comes into this storyline. He came in, I think it was episode 11 in this season. They brought him in very similar to his original storyline, where he was injured and merged with a father box, as they say, and becomes this. He's very, angry still at this point, still trying to reject what has happened to him. I think as the season goes on, he's going to be more accepting of not only himself, but of the team. which makes sense, of course. And, there's Connor, who in past seasons has been very angry. So, you can kind of relate to a character like that if you've been watching the show for a while. Violet, aka Halo, had a big revelation in these couple of episodes where she started to remember her past lives and realized that she was the person who let the assassin in that killed Brion and Tara's parents. So she's scared of that, especially with her relationship with Brion. She's scared of, telling him about that. That's just who the character is. The character is just scared. And I gotta say, am I the only one who's getting sick and tired of her dying like every other episode? I get it. She's powerful. She has all these powers. She's merged with a mother box. But it's like every other episode, they kill her. And when it comes to superhero deaths, if they keep bringing them back, the deaths mean nothing. So, I don't know. I guess what they could do is maybe kind of work towards a way that she could bring other people back, or maybe actually make it seem like she might actually die at the end of the season, because, again, she's been dead like, what, 4 times already in 14 or 15 episodes? I think it's time we kind of give that a rest, unless they're setting us up for later on in the season when she might actually sacrifice herself and be actually dead for good. That could be a possibility too, especially with the little speech that Nightwing and Superboy and Tigress gave them about sacrifice in regards to Wally and choosing this life. Now, jumping back to the first episode of these 3 new episodes, we spent a little time with the Justice League. Superman, Wonder Woman, Hawkman, Hawkgirl. We see what they're doing out in space. Obviously, trying to figure out and getting information from what's going on Earth and trying to apply it to what they're doing out in space. And of course, we are introduced to Guy Gardner. Got to see him a little bit. He's a fun character, I get his appeal, and he's one of those interesting Green Lanterns. The way they played him in that episode, I truly enjoyed it. Maybe we'll see more of them as the show goes on. I hope so. Big Barda working with Granny Goodness and the Furies. Big Barda in the comics is now more of a good guy. She's married to Mr. Miracle. By the way, if you haven't checked out Tom King's Mr. Miracle run, you're missing a great comic. Go check it out. But seeing her, the fact that in the episode Superman saved her, sacrificed almost himself to save an enemy, I think that'll have an impact on her. And I can see her maybe towards the end of the season or, next season turning into a good guy. But also with, this episode or with these episodes too, you definitely see the bad guys plot. And just like in previous seasons, I don't know how the good guys are going to win. I mean, Beast Boy came out and told them exactly what these goggles were doing to people, and Lex Luthor spun it to where the Justice League messed up by raiding these metahuman prisons and not asking for government permission. And of course, we know that Lex Luthor, being in charge of the UN, has tried to make it difficult for the Justice League to do their job. And with Granny Goodness, basically, they spun it to where the Justice League tried to call them out, and they spun it around like the Justice League were the ones that did something bad. And that's kind of what I like. That's what happened last season with the Reach and the Light and, trying to call out the Justice League and make them vulnerable. Granted, it bit them in the ass, but as it was happening, I couldn't see how the team was going to win in the end. And I know they are. I know, it's all going to turn out, for the most part, pretty good. And again, think maybe that's the thing about the writing of the show, and again, why I enjoy it so much is it just leaves me suspenseful when I feel like the situations are so dire, I can't see how the good guys are going to win. Jumping around a bit, there is the doctor. What's her name? Dr. Chase. That's what her name is, Dr. Chase. Okay, so yeah, she took that strand of hair from Violet, aka Halo, and she's looking over it. We're still not sure exactly what she's doing. She made a phone call, someone she hasn't talked to in a while. I don't know what her deal is, because I always suspected she's on the other side, maybe even working with Deathstroke, kind of like Tara is. They're on the inside, spying for them. I think this really is something too, because in the first two seasons of Young Justice, the light has always underestimated the team. So I think they kind of learned their lesson and realized, hey, they might actually be a threat to this because they foiled our plot before. So let's someone or a couple people on the inside and kind of keep track on them, and so we can stay one step ahead of them. We'll see. Again, I might be right, but something's not sitting right with me with Dr. Chase. I don't know what's going on, but I think it's going to burn Black Lightning in the behind. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is Artemis and Will. They hinted a little bit at it in the first half of the season. Now they're pointing more towards it now, where they've been living in the same house, helping raise Will's child, growing closer really is what it is. And in these episodes, you really start to saw where it's really kind of starting to like each other. I thought it was funny because if you go back to season 1, they totally hated each other, distrusted each other, and looking how far they've come as characters, it's interesting. It's been 2 years since Wally, of course, so I think Artemis, has that grieving period where it's okay for her to move on. And Will, I think, definitely would fit the bill. I'd love to see him more back as Red Arrow, personally. I loved him in the first couple of seasons and what he did, his character type. Who knows? But, he's a dad. He's doing the good guy thing, and I support that fully. But I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff more I could talk about when it comes to Young Justice Outsiders, guys. Those are just a few things that I have off the top of my head. Like I said, I just watched the episodes, and I want to come on and chat about it, throw a few theories out there for you, of course. If you watch the episodes, fire back, let me know what you think, let me know what you're looking forward to, and if you're enjoying this season of Young Justice Outsiders. And if you're not, well, first off, I spoiled some stuff for you, so what are you doing? But more importantly, guys, let me know what you think, and if you're looking forward to the second half of Young Justice Outsiders. And that's going to be it for me today, guys. I know a little short of a show. There's lots more stuff I can talk about. To be honest, this was kind of just flying off the seat of my pants here. I just want to talk about Young Justice because the next time I come back, I'm going to talk about Spider-Man Far From Home, and then it'll be next week where there'll be a whole new set of stories going on. But of course, if you want to talk about anything, head on over to the Facebook group or Twitter account. I post all kinds of stories there. You can comment, discuss, share, whatever, and of course, let's get talking, guys. But that is going to be it for me today. I got other stuff I got to do. Life is happening, okay? So you got to take it all in. I got to go, spend some family time. Of course, like I said, I want to watch a little Independence Day today too. And then, of course, get ready for Spider-Man later on, guys. But of course, as always, fire back on the social media groups and, of course, Gmail account, daysprings@gmail.com. And as always, if you want to, head over to the Patreon page and donate $1. Guys, I do this show with a $20 microphone and an 8-year-old computer, of course. As I said, it's kind of low on my priority list, but if you donate, it might give me more motivation to do a more consistent show, maybe a better show, and of course, maybe give me some better equipment, guys. So head over to Patreon and donate $1. And that's going to be it for me today, of course. You can find me, Slim Dayspring 12, on Twitter and Instagram. That's it. Hopefully you guys have a good July 4th. Go see Spider-Man, because I'm going to be talking full spoilers in a couple days when I return, guys. Until then, may the Force be with us all.